This week, I was asked a wonderful question about how to price corporate talks and packages. Now, I have been designing corporate workshops, training, e-learning for 15 years. So I would absolutely love to share my insider tips, advice, support with you and to help you to feel like you have the confidence to get out there. So I'm sure that you would love for me to sit here and say, this is the going rate for corporate work. Go off and charge this. Fortunately, it doesn't exist and I can't do that. Sorry. But I can give you some pointers and tips that help you to decide what it is that you're going to charge. The reason why there isn't a fixed rate is because there's so many different moving variations to corporate world and corporate workshops. And it's the same with any pricing decision for your business. It is a personable choice and there's a market for everybody. So it's about you deciding what the right figure is rather than there being like a standard figure that everybody charges. So how do you decide on that figure? How do you get to that figure? The first thing that you need to do is you need to be very clear on your foundations, your price. And that allows you to know what you're willing and what you need in terms of how many hours you want to work and the amount of money that you want to make. And that is a really important place to start. If that is something that you don't have or you're not sure, I helped you to do that in the Build It Brilliant Blueprint book. There's some exercises in there to help you figure out those amounts. So I'll drop a link below to the book in the description. Go and grab yourself a copy if you don't know what your foundations are, because that's a really important place to start. You don't ever work below that figure. So you know that every time that you put your proposal in, or you say, yes, I'll do this workshop, I'll do it for this much, you know that you are happy with that figure. And if a corporate company turns around and says, no, I don't drop below my figure that I know that I'm willing to work for. So there is a piece around this, around knowing your worth and being confident in your worth and not having a race to the bottom. So just because a corporate company comes back and says, we don't have a budget for that, or we're not paying you for that, then, you know, it's about kind of being strong and say it and knowing your worth. And then you can say, that's absolutely fine. Thanks for the opportunity. See you later. Not every company is going to say yes, and that's absolutely fine. I've had corporate companies come back and say, no thanks, and that's absolutely fine, or just not get back in touch with you. And also, pricing is not fixed, so you do not have to come up with a price and then stick with that price forever. So even if you go out to a corporate company and then you think, actually, I'm going to change my price, that's fine. You can, next corporate company, say a different price. So don't worry about it so much. I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to come up with this perfect price. It's got to be right. It doesn't. Go out, charge a price, and then change it if you want to. So long as it's within your figures, you know that you're getting paid what you want to get paid. So how does corporate companies, tender for these people to come in? That there's sort of two approaches. One approach is they employ somebody who has a particular system, method, way of doing something, and they want their company to follow that particular method or that particular way of doing something, and they will pay for that expert to come in and implement that process, that way of doing something into their business. I have seen companies pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for the guru person to come in and teach all their staff a particular approach, scheme, way of doing something. So you could absolutely do that. You could create your way of something and then go out to companies and sell that as a thing that they need to implement within their business. Obviously, that is a business structure decision. It's a lot of marketing and hard work, but the money's there with that method. The most popular method is that company is going to pay you to come in and run a webinar as part of a staff event or a wellness day, or a program that helps their people with anxiety or something like that. Now that is the most popular way of doing corporate work. That's what I do in terms of corporate workshops. So the thing with the corporate workshops is stock course or not stock course. So the company do not expect, on the whole, to pay design time for something that they believe should be a stock course that you run. So I have 8 courses that I run for corporate companies. And if it's one of those 8 courses, they just pay for delivery time, because I've already designed the workshop and I'm going to deliver that workshop to lots of corporate companies. They don't expect to pay design time for that. If they say, and I've had one recently that said, actually, we want a 2-hour course and we want this, this, and this, and it's quite bespoke to their needs and bespoke to what they want, then I say, well, that's not the workshops that I've got, so I'm going to need some design time in order to create that for you. And they pay me some design time as well as a delivery time in order to create that for them. So again, it depends on whether they're asking for something bespoke to them, or whether they're kind of expecting you to come in and run an hour course on stress management, in which case they'd expect that to be a stock course. They'd expect to just pay for delivery time. You also want to ask questions like, what is their budget for this particular project, is a really good question. Another one is, have they run something like this before, and what have they paid previously? Because that can give you a bit of a ballpark as to where their budget is. And sometimes certain companies, generally the big companies, will have a higher budget than, a little company somewhere, but not always. But it's good to ask the questions over their budget and also what they've paid before. You also want to look at the location. So I live in Leeds, and some of my corporate workshops, they're a 2-hour workshop in Leeds. Well, I'm not going to charge them travel time for that, but I have been asked. I ran a workshop for Britvic, and they wanted an 1.5-hour workshop, but it was a 2-hour drive away from here. So the way that you structure things is, either you can do an hourly rate if it's just an hour workshop, you can do a half-day rate, or you can do a full-day rate. And for me, they paid me my full-day rate, because by the time I'd travel for 2 hours, delivered an 1.5-hour workshop, and then had 2 hours drive back, that's a day out of my time, and I can't have other clients in that day, so they would pay me a day rate for that. I also did a workshop that was a company way down south, and they paid me for a hotel stay and my day rate, because I had to travel down the day before, stay over in a hotel, do the workshop, and then travel back. So for that, they paid me the accommodation for the night plus my day rate for that one. So have a think about location, have a think about how long realistically is it going to take you to get there and get back, so that then you can work out that price. Sometimes it's really good to give them 2 prices. So if they say their budget is X amount, but they're asking you for the world, and corporate companies do sometimes do this, they ask you for something that's really, feathers and bows, really kind of extravagant, but they want to pay you a really small price. What I do is say, fall within your budget, I will do this. But for this budget, if you want what it is that you've put, then the budget is this. So sometimes they'll say, okay, we'll go with what's in our budget. Please, can you do that? And sometimes they say, actually, we'll stretch the budget to get what we want. And yes, you can do that. And they'll pay me the amount that I wanted for that. So sometimes it's good to kind of do a 2-tier pricing, where you say, in your budget, you can have this. But if you want to stretch your budget to this, then you can have the bells and whistles that you wanted, and see what they say. The most important thing is you're happy with that figure. You are, in terms of your business structure and strategy, it works for helping you to earn the amount of money that you want. And then you put in some prices and see what they say. So I'm really sorry that I can't sit here and say the going rate for corporate is X amount of pounds. It's not. It is a completely, there's just, I hope you understand now, there's just so many variables to that decision and that choice, and it's a really personable thing depending on your business and what you want to earn. So it's more about figuring out what the right price is than it is about saying there's a standard price. The other thing that I do with mine is I actually work for some wonderful, amazing ladies who have wellness companies. So they're the wellness company, and then they pay me to go in and deliver the courses. So they set the pricing. They go to the companies and do the proposals and contracts and all that kind of things, and then they pay me as their trainer, if you like, to go in and do the training. So that is a slightly different price, because they go in with their price and then they pay me a set fee. So you can find companies out there that want to do corporate work and want to do well-being companies, and they will pay you as a trainer, and they will have set fees that they pay for those people. So you can find those companies and go and have a conversation with them, get to know them, get really good relationships with them, and ask what their fees are. So they might come back and say, for our wellbeing workshops, we pay our trainers X amount of money, and then you can decide whether that's the amount of money that you want. I hope that's helped and given you some ideas of sorts of questions to ask and how to think about it and how to structure it. And I wish you the best of luck with your corporate workshops and corporate presentations. I absolutely love doing them. I meet some amazing people, and the corporate world certainly has lots of opportunities for you to make some good money. So, it's a fantastic, as far as I'm concerned, it's a really fantastic opportunity for your business. So I wish you all the best with it.